Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here, and itty bitty pale, hazy pale. I assume it's gonna be hazy pale time. Yeah, a little bit of new trail up in this piece. This be their gearhead. This is their hazy pale. It says hazy. I said I don't know yet, but it says hazy because listen, I have brutal allergies right now. My sniffer's not up to 100%, but we gotta power through it. So we're gonna do it. And mess it up a lot. So, anyway, Gearhead Hazy Pale. We're talking about 5.1%. This is right in this dude's wheelhouse. Yeah. Pack the essentials. We don't have a date because they don't date their stuff. But I know this is kind of relatively new beer. That's why I bought it. 5.1% alcohol by volume. Done and done. Let's see what the sucker has to offer. I am super excited to record this video for the most... What's the word I'm looking for? Pomp. Like, unnecessary bullshit reason. What's that reason, you may ask? Label-wise? It's alright. Nothing too crazy. That thing! See that thing? It's an oscilloscope. We'll talk about that because I want to talk about it. So, I don't know why. But my whole life, not only have I wanted an oscilloscope, I wanted an oscilloscope that would reflect my... excuse me. reflect my voice. I got post nasal drip from these allergies. It's driving me insane. That would reflect my voice when I do stuff. So when I was building the studio, I'm like, I finally got to get myself an oscilloscope. I found one, like locally, oddly enough, for like $35, and it's a really nice one too. Actually, I don't even know if you can see that in detail, but there's no knobs on it right now because I'm cleaning it up and stuff like that. But yeah, I just hooked it up today, and I'm like, I got to record a video. I don't care. Anyway, label-wise. Alright, it's New Trail's logo. It's got like a little bike tread thing going on. Beer-wise, though, I mean, it's like a nice little hazy pale. It's not going to be confused with anything super turbid. You know, my king shit of fuck mountain beers, my Mount Rushmore beers. When it comes to low ABV hazies, your sneak boxes of the world, those kind of beers, they tend to be a little bit more turbid. That's kind of classic old school hazy pale. So it has that kind of rich kind of caramel malt color to it, just barely off white head. It has this nice soft little haze to it. So, I can dig it. Let's see if we can get a nose, actually. Yeah. Melon. Well, it's citrus leaning. That's more citrus heavy. Leaning into that melon. But it's this cool kind of like orange juice, but then there's also this dollop of like this really, really cool kind of like candied, orange, ringy candy kind of thing going on. So, but it doesn't come off overly sweet. It just has this kind of nice, kind of cool multiple levels of citrus fruitiness to it. Yeah, it smells nice. It smells almost like a pale ale version of, like, again, old school, new school IPA. It smells like a low ABV pale ale version, and not that small, actually. The nose is pretty big for its ABV, of something along the lines of your Second Fiddles, your Sips of Sunshine. That's where it comes off. It comes off as a super classic old school, kind of hazy, but in a smaller package. But the nose is pretty hefty, so I'm not saying it comes off really, really minimal, just not big and as boisterous as those other ones. So you have that citrus abounds, that nice kind of melon, a little bit of tropical fruit that's kind of candied without getting overly sweet kind of portion of the show. Let's dive in. Cheers, y'all. That's exactly what it is. It comes off way less sweet than you'd think it would be based off of the nose, because you get that candied thing kind of going on when you actually drink it. I'm not going to say it's not a sweet beer, but it's not even close to being what you think it's going to be sweet-wise based off of the nose. It's not going to be confused with this super silky smooth kind of mouthfeel. It's nice. It's almost like getting to a point of like a session kind of beer for me, as opposed to a low ABV kind of hazy, because it has this nice, okay, there's a bittering to it, but not too aggressive. There's a sweetness to it, and not even close to overly sweet. That citrus, that tropical fruit, that melon component is there, but it's something that I think you could just repeat over and over again. And it ends up being like a really nice, really well done, like chugger hazy pale, as opposed to a big boisterous kind of like, I want to show off kind of hazy pale. It kind of sounds like I'm kind of saying it's just a little bit less than what I'm typically used to, but it's a much, much different beer than the boats and the sneak boxes of the world, those kind of beers. And that leans into that old school, new school IPA, the Headies of the world, those kind of beers. And this really cool drinkable package. Actually, this probably be the best New Trail beer that I've ever had, to be perfectly honest with you. It just gives me everything I want at that little ABV level. You're talking almost under 5%. Big win there. You know how much that kind of tickles me pink when it comes to beer. This kind of like really, really kind of tip your cap to this old school, new school kind of IPA thing, but at the same time, be big enough, be boisterous enough to where you're drinking something that you could talk about the beer, but at the same time, if I want to drink like a couple of these, it's definitely going to be easy going. Yeah, I dig this quite a bit, actually. It's a fun beer. Very fun. Very cool. Pretty cheap, too. I want to say I would pay maybe 11, 12 bucks for a 4-pack of this. I believe it was Wegmans. I was in Wegmans in Pennsylvania a week or so ago. I saw it, I picked it up, and I'm pleasantly surprised, to be perfectly honest with you, because, you know, the date thing with New Trail is a big thing. You know, they're just beers. I get them in Jersey, I'm close enough to PA to where I see them, but they make a lot of the same beers over and over. They're not a brewery that's constantly like rotating out like the same beer in different cans. If they were that brewery, you could almost like self-date their stuff by going on Instagram. But you know, their kind of their flagship beer, what is it? The Broken Heels, and beers like that, they tend to be, you know, they can sit, is what I'm saying. Because I know places that have got them and they just haven't moved. And while they're producing these beers over and over again, you just don't know if it's a fresh resupply or if it's stuff that's been sitting there for a while. Because a lot of these places, more specifically in PA as opposed to New Jersey, stuff can sit, man. I've seen stuff, I've gone into places and I'd be like, oh man, this is a really good beer. I pull it off a shelf and it'll be a year old. You know, I'm like, ooh, okay, I am not going to buy that. And then, you know, when you go to places like that and then you see a large swath of beer that is, you know, several months, if not a year old, and then you have stuff that's not dated, you're just like, I can't trust it, because the place that's selling it obviously doesn't really care much about rotation. So I can't really do it. Now, Wegmans tends to be a little bit better because they're volume movers. Stuff rarely does sit there, and they do kind of like, you know, stuff starts to get out of date, they'll kind of clearance it and blow it out. Now, they don't know there's no date in the cans, stuff like that. But like I said, on this particular beer, I know it came out not super long ago, so I was willing to take that chance. So yeah, all in all, even if this is old, it's very shelf stable and very tasty. So there you go. We're reviewing the books. Mount Rushmore Hazy Pales. It's not Mount Rushmore level Hazy Pale, but it's definitely worthy of being in the conversation. And just honestly, grab a 4-pack of this, sit by a fire, go to a barbecue, drink a couple of these. I'm a happy camper. And New Trail. Have you been to the brewery? I oddly enough have never been. And I say that because I used to live in, you know, Wilkes-Barre when they first opened, and that's not too terribly far from there. I just never ended up making it out. Now, I'm not super far from them where I am now, but man, Williamsport, that is the middle of nowhere. You all know Williamsport's where Little League World Series is, but there is no easy way to get there, and there's no easy way to get out. And there's a couple breweries there, you know, Bullfrogs there, a couple other breweries, but man, talk about not easy to get to. But I'll get there one day. Let's put it like that. But have you been there? Have you been there? Have you had their beers? Have you had this particular beer? All that stuff down there. So there you go. Reviewing about. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little hazy chugger right now. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers, y'all.